Good morning, folks. What's up in the hood? All right, all right. Hold on here. Give me 1 second. All right, we're getting this thing juiced up, baby. Getting this thing juicy. All right. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. All right, all right. Let me get this link out to my people here. And then we going. All right. Wham. All right, Blake. What's up, baby? Whoop. All right. Fuck it. Hey, man, as they say in French, look it. Let's get to work. Let's get what's going on. Dun, dun. Oh, all right. Good morning, folks. What's going on in the hood? My apologies. I had to get that little stream deck all juiced up and ready to party. Everybody good? Yo, Simon, what's up, man? How you doing? How you doing, man? You ready to do the Lord's work today or what? All right, all right. What you watching, baby? And we got flat open in the markets once again. So we're in a little bit of a chop zone here. What I mean by chop zone is that, we've had now multiple days where strength has been strength has been kind of faded off. And so, starting with, over here, that was Thursday, right? We opened kind of flat and then just rolled over, right? And then yesterday, right, we had a nice spike. Everything was looking pretty good in the morning, and then we rolled over. We got a couple days of these tails here. You can see here tails, tails. And so we got a little bit of a chop zone that we've got to kind of work through now. And it's not a big deal. We just gotta kind of work through this supply right here. It shouldn't be too big of a deal, but sometimes it may take a day or two. It may be today. You never really know. But that is something that, like, I think is going to have to be in the back of our heads. Like, we got to get that thing sauced up and ready to pay. And then, dude, then we'll go and do what we got to do. Does that make sense? All right, all right, all right, all right. Boom. Now let's take a look at the SPY here. You can see here, right? You had the weakness and then tail, tail. And so we're kind of like in this weird little grind up. And so we'll have to be a little bit careful. We're trading in the range, and the range is the worst spot to be in, where you're kind of like you're grinding higher into like a mini channel, but you're not necessarily right. You're not necessarily getting anything explosive. Now, there are still a lot of good setups out there. So we do have, kind of on an individual basis, not a macro basis, but an individual basis, a whole host of things going. So the one difference between bull market, bear market is that in a bull market, if you've got even sideways action, not all stocks will go up, but you will have selective stocks really, really cooking, right? And so in a bear market, what happens is like every tick that the market goes up or down, the stocks all go with it. But in a bull market, it's vastly different, right? In that if you have flat days in the market, you're still gonna have individual sectors that are starting to fire off. So just something to be a little bit mindful of. Now let's get to work here. So on the cues, You can see, right, we're stuck in the middle of the range, right? We're in just this kind of, I don't even know where you'd want to put this, right? But we got, we're just in the middle of the range and we got to resolve that self at some point. But look, frankly, I think a little bit of some sideways action, some back and filling, it'll lead to better setups. And we've already got a handful of hot sectors that we can kind of play, even right now. So I want to definitely take a look at those. On the other side, we've got the IWM. The gap up today makes things very tough on IWM specifically, in that you've got multiple days of kind of gaps now, and that kind of, so you got day gap, gap, gap. So you're on day three of a gap, day four gaps, right? So you're not even open and kind of flat and just running through, right? You're gapping and grinding. This probably needs to pull back now. You're about 10 points above the 90 EMA, 5%. That's about as that's about as big of a difference as you're going to get between price and 90 EMA as you'll find. Now, obviously, it's still very, very bullish, and even some sideways consolidation will work off that overbought condition. But you do want to be slightly careful. Now, let's go see if there's any little gappity gaps happening, any good gappers, and then we'll kind of go from there. Hold on here. Let me fluff my coffee. Give me one sec. Whoa. All right, all right. Let's get into this. Yo, Evan, what up? So Govex is a pump and dump stock, and no point of even looking at some junk like this. Hold on here. Butt chugger. Old Chuggy McGee's got upgrade to equal weight from underweight. Cuts price target at 325 from 650. That's popping this thing. In this market, this kind of stock is probably doable, but if you're on day four of the move, and it's a little sketchy kind of upgrade, probably leave that alone. Mitch, ooh, a little Match.com update. Activist investor starboard value pushes for changes in Match.com. Man, this thing's a dud to trade, huh? So I've been looking for like these kind of tech stocks that are bottoming out or like near lows. It's not necessarily a tech stock, but I think it's kind of labeled as one. And this could be like, I wouldn't be surprised to see something like this, maybe get a little bit of a juice at some point. We do have some kind of, remount here in the 200-day moving average, but I think we've got better ones because this one's already been running up a few days. Let's get into this. Let's find something a little bit saucier, a little bit juicier, a little bit saucier. Harmony. Yeah, all these gold stocks are pushing through. And gold itself is now finally coming out of a big base. So let's go to a daily charts here. One to see what the whole G to the L to the DD, right? It takes three tests of a breakout to like rip through, right? So you got first test, second test, third test. Now you got the consolidation started April 12th. So, right, we got 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months of consolidation to build that out. You like the 90 EMA to probably be a little bit tighter. It may back and fill for like a day here, but this is like a high level, right? This is pretty high level here. If you're looking, at a weekly chart, right? You got this big push through, right? It looks like a W. That's what you want to see going into a breakout, right? And so we've got this kind of gold, and we got this gold that's looking very, very juicy. This is probably you got to play this with options pretty much. But I'd keep an eye on the old gold. See if it see if it pulls back. You may get a little hootenanny on this. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Yeah, I'd be down. I'd be down to add something like this, or you can do some of the gold stocks, right? So you got NEM, and this one's already busted loose, right? They usually will bust loose a little bit in anticipation, right? You got AEM, and then you got all the small ones here. There's a whole host of these kind of like five, $6, $7, names and stuff. You can roll with really any of those. I think they're more swing trades than day trades, but they're right up in the game. Ooh, whoa, this could work. So you've got a range break on Shopify. All right. You got a range break on Shopify. Now, look, it's gapping up on an upgrade. The thing that on upgrades is that there's a handful of places where the upgrades actually matter. And Bank of America is one of them. Not all upgrades are equal, right? So if you get one by the big banks, the upgrade is worth infinitely more than if you got a upgrade from Roth Capital, right? Looking, right? Roth Capital or something like that. So you've got you got a spot here. You got a spot that could be the goose's caboose. One test, two test, three test. You get a little bit of room up into the 200-day moving average. You got a gap fill up here till 75. And so you got yourself a nice location on this. Now, the key on something like this is obviously you can't chase it up $3 on an upgrade. You got to let it set up. It doesn't mean you got to have it pull back necessarily, but you've got to kind of consolidate this into something. A lot of times they may just get goosed right off at the open because people just come in and come in hot and buy, and then from there you'll pull back and do all of this stuff. But this is something. I'm liking it. This is probably I'd go with like, top of the list on this one. Let's dude, let's get this fucking thing. Wow. Let's add this in, baby. With Shopify. AMVS GME. So GME is starting to perk its pickle here. The thing is, everybody keeps playing it intraday. They keep playing it intraday, expecting for like that big, right? Like that big monster, day. And those are not coming through. They've diluted this thing quite a bit, right? So you've diluted it multiple times now. And so you're kind of just grinding this thing off. The question becomes like on the day trading side of things, can it speed up? Because right now, like this is a right. I mean, this is I got a candle here, a candle there. I mean, whenever you see stuff like that, right? Oh, I took a candle. Like that's not gonna work, right? As day traders, unless you've just got like the lightning fast, dexterous fingers. I mean, that's not really gonna work. And so for me, this is like kind of like, right? What are you really gonna do with it? I just don't. I just can't get behind it because it's a little bit of a grinder. Does that make sense? Now, if it speeds up, then then I'm right. Then I'm down. You start seeing some NPCs out of nowhere. You start seeing some NPCs out of nowhere. Then I'm to it. Yo, DJ, what up, baby? Yo, you DJ, pump this party. Why waste your time when you know you gotta be mine? And see, this is the DJ. This is kind of one of those things too, right? So it's moving on average 32 cents a day, right? It's moving on average 32 cents a day. So like what are we supposed to do with this right now? And so that's where it gets, I think, a little bit tricky. If it comes and breaks out over this and it's tight, right? Then it's probably going to speed up and now you might get something. Now, will it have a day like this to this or this to this? The odds of that are probably right pretty low. But if it could run to 6 or 7, I mean, you can still have a little bit of fun with it, right? So one of the things is like, pre-breakout, post-breakout. Pre-breakout, the ranges will compress, right? The ATR will compress. Post-breakout, ranges expand. And so what you often want to do with something like this, that's like a little bit of a slutty McGee, is wait till the speed up happens, because then the ATR will expand and then you could trade it effectively. If you're swing trading and you don't mind your capital being tied up in a non-efficient manner, you know, then you just kind of put a stop at $5 and you wait for it to break out. And so if there's two different levels to kind of go about this, right? You have an anticipation setup and then you have a little bit more of, the confirmation setup. You are starting to get this thing speed up a little bit today. I'm not sure what's wrong with MU, but it is it's also having a little bit of a time. Let's see what old Chewy's doing too. Yeah, Chewy's also having a little bit of time. We exhausted a lot of the buyers here. Now there's a lot of supply, especially on this particular couple days. So, but it is starting to peek its head too. So as the IWM just grinds higher and higher like this, right? You're going to have more opportunity to get into some of these kind of names. Let's roll through and see what else we got here. Bum, 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 chunk, 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 chunk. Yeah, Cypher. So this, out of all the crypto stocks, this one has, probably the most interesting level that has not broke yet. Yesterday was just a monster run, 20 million shares of volume, and you started to find it clear out. This is a weekly chart, right? It looks a lot cleaner on a weekly, right? You finally started to clear out this huge, man, that's nice. A couple things I'm wary about on this one. Number one is when you get a couple of the candles on the weekly and a little bit of distribution, compared to the previous one. That can happen sometimes, especially in cryptos where you get a little bit more volatility. But you can see here on the weekly, if this can break and hold, you got yourself no real supply till you get more over here, right? You got a slight bit here, but you got all this airspace here that man, that's nice. Whew. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Right now on the daily chart, it's a little bit more choppy, so we'll probably need it to come back a little bit. But you got a nice spot on this thing. And if we want to take a look at some of these others, right? Mara finally busted loose too. Now this is the toughest one to trade, but you do have, right? You do got something there, right? You got something. Man, that's nice. I don't even look at the options on this thing, man. They were trading heavy yesterday too. Every strike price 20, 30,000 shares traded. Armando, were you off yesterday? Did not see you. Big push. This one was a little, I wouldn't say tricky. It looks great in hindsight, but because we're so used to this thing fading off, that every time it kind of dipped down, you kind of get a little bit you start wondering if it's going to hold, and then boom, it pops through, boom, it pops through, boom, it pops through. That's what you want to see though in these kind of stocks, right? Like you want to see this type of follow through. You want to see the dips to the moving averages start to get picked up. Like when you start to see stuff like that, Now, now you're in for a little hooting at it. And so we've got a week open on this bad boy. You know, you take this out, then we'll probably get a little bit of a day two. Now we haven't seen Mara really ever with the day two. So that's where the you got to be careful. So if you look, we had a huge day here, right? It went from 20 to, let's call that 23. So 3 points on 20, right? 15% give or take. Pretty good day. And then look what happens. It's like whoosh. Then we had this huge day here. So it went from 18 to 23. So 5 points, 4 points, right? And it was like whoosh. And then we had this huge day here, and there's whoosh. Now, all of these were under breakout, right? They were a little bit more mid-rangey, but this one I thought, had a potential and it plunked over. So just something to be mindful of. You got the week open on this, and you are over breakout, but it is a heartbreaker. We have seen this thing. We have seen this thing break hearts quite a few times. Our own hearts. CLSK now is still stuck inside range. You got room to about 20 before you got to make some decisions, and you got pretty much a flat open on this one too. So we'll see. We'll see if this one has same type of thing, right? You got boom, pull back to 90, man, pull back, pull back, pull back. That's what you want to see out of these bad boys. When you're trying to dicker and deal. Hut's been the hottest one out of the whole group. It's on the daily. You can see here, right? This thing is already up 100%. Mostly float being a little bit lower, and you got also like a pretty big base coming out for $80. So you got a whole host of these bad boys that are going. Let's see if we got any. Yeah, Aaron just had a hit piece on it, which acted very weird. Um, Bid is a little bit slower than the other ones, even though it's cheaper. It's a little bit more of a grinder, and you got all fours here. Fours does have a breakout, not as big of an ATR as some of the other ones. You know, it tends to move 50, 70, 80 cents a day. The Wolf Nation is still holding up. Man, now look at this SQ, man. This thing ended up being a swinger, huh? That's nice. That's how you want your bottoming, right? That's how you want your bottoming place to look. And I think Riot is probably the one that's got maybe the most upside, but also is the biggest rundy. In that it's the toughest to trade. It typically has the lowest ATR, but it's the most compressed. Hey, Armando, ¿cómo está? You got this 200-day moving average just right up on the kitchen on this thing. Woo! We can get something going. We can get something going. I think so, bros. I think we can. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, let's add this too. What do you think? Yeah, I think we go. We add the basket. Mara's the only one opening up on the red side right now. Let me see. Yeah, Jimmy's moving slightly. Let me see cost, brother. Yeah, this cost doesn't have any volume right now, so there's probably some chat room just pump this thing. Good. All right, take a look here. We got a couple other little goofy McGee's I want to take a look at here. Software. So you got some fuckers, right? This thing got an upgrade. I was trying to add this yesterday. Mizzou Securities upgrades did to outperform neutral price target 155. Well, Mizuzu, the old guys at Mizuzu, fucking who's a Mizuzu, right? The old guys at Mizuzu upgrade Datadog. This has got the breakout set up on this, right? So if you look at the daily chart on this, you've got a multi. year breakout going back from about 2022. Is buenos, esa noches, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao. Add that one. I think this S, it needs maybe a day to grind out, because it's up 4 days in a row, but gotta love the overall remount of this on the 200-day moving average. CGC had some news on it. Anybody see what the news was? I did not look. Let me see. I'd be lazy. Let's take a look. I didn't see anything in specific. We add these though. The hood sucks to trade. You know that. Hey, so a firm has got a lot of catch up to do. A firm's got a lot of catch up to do. So, if you look here, it's been in this like kind of nasty, nasty downtrend channel for quite some time. This has got a little something something to it. All right. This has got a little something something to it. Okay. So you got this. Needs to remount this 200-day moving average. You got a big push on this yesterday. This one, and obviously UPST is remounted here. We're in that weird state of the market where you may get a little bit more, whatever you consider like extended, like add an extra day to it. I know it's kind of a bitch to say, but whatever you think is extended, add an extra day to it because you're gonna get a little bit more extension than you're used to. So what you consider overbought, sometimes you adjust them as the market shifts a little bit. I think we're kind of in that phase where we're gonna need to. Oh my God, you just woke up. Yeah, I think a firm is a little bit more coiled up than this. But you're right at that 200-day moon air. So we'll watch this. I think the IWM probably needs to take a pause today. I mean, it's got a little bit here. You got 200, went from 200 to 210. That's 10% move in a handful of days. You're probably going to get a little bit of sideways action. Um, Maybe a little sideways action on this one. So just be mindful. Some of these little mid caps may take a slight breather. Now, look, this Uber, one test, two tests, three tests, they're getting bought up on this too. So, like, as it dips off, it's been getting bought up. I mean, we've seen this a few days, where it's like they dip off and they get bought up. So you've got a setup here. The release point is more towards what 74, which is fine. Like you want to kind of preempt it anyways. On a name like this, if you see it tighten up right before the breakout, not like dollar before, but right before the breakout, you're gonna have you're probably gonna have a good location to get this bad boy going. I like it. I like it. I like it. Hey, this is a little bit of a longer term play, but this iRobot was $200. And you've been basing this thing out for really, the last handful of months, post Amazon deal. This is, this is the type of name that you want to be goosing up because you've got so much upside. The nearest level of resistance is at 14. Like this is, it had a 9% day yesterday, so you already have a decent amount of push on it. I like the overall look on this. Let's see if this one dips off. Okay, we talked about Pan W out of the large caps. This is a $100 billion company. Out of the large caps, this one is the best. My thinking is you may see some of these larger cap names run if the IWM pulls back. Oftentimes they kind of move hand in hand. Before when the IWM was pushing, the Qs would consolidate or pull back. And if the Qs were pushing, then the IWM was consolidating or pull back. So if the IWM is a little bit extended and it pulls back today or snaps back, then probably you'll see a run in some of these a larger names. Right? We talked about coin. Week open on coin. Coin, coin. The red to greens on coin have historically always been faders. If you guys have been trading with me for a while, red to greens has like always been our like it's been one of our money setups, but it does not work as well on coin as other ones. Some of it's just due to the liquidity and the spread on it. We do got to open on this one. We got 248 is the previous high, so you got room to play around too. Let's see how this one opens. It typically is just a little bit better on a dip than than like a little bit of a chase. Mara's pushing up too. Yeah, let's take a look at the overall. Bitcoin's also done quite some rebound. Take a look here. All right, so if we look at what's it, IBIT, it's a little bit at some resistance here, but it's looking like it's remounting, right? Beto, you had that big pullback, dude. It pulled back quite a bit. Now you got this nice bounce that's starting to form on this one. So as long as these hold up, you don't need Bitcoin necessarily to go up for these names to go, but you want to make sure it's not tanking. So kind of just keep those in the back of your head. Index, big push yesterday, week open. Let's watch this one for the red to green. That's the list. I'm sticking to it. If the IWM pulls back, you can probably take a shot at UPST. If the IWM pulls back, I'm not leaning like that heavy into shorting all this, per se. I'm thinking we may get a small pullback a small pullback or like a little bit of a consolidation. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Hot damn, baby. Hot damn. This is not, yeah, it's a key breakout. You are extended here. It's got a few dollars to snap back if the IWM pulls, but you're gonna need to make sure you time them. Like I wouldn't step in front of this. It'll get too confusing. What else? What else? These are my kind of 10, 15 faves. Let me see MSTR. Yeah, you could do MSTR too. It does have a key breakout. I'm not trading this one. Taking, I wouldn't say big losses on it, but like in percentage terms, like for the size I had, because you got to trade this thing really small. It's not been like an ideal. It's not an ideal stock to trade. Let me see SMCI, brother. Super micro computer selected for the Nasdaq 100. That came out in the morning. It did not have. I think the news was already kind of known, so it got sold off. But it very well could bounce. Like it's just stuck in range. So like sometimes it bounces and sometimes it does not. Yeah, I would give it a little gander. Why not? Good. Let's take a look. Why is it thick little noodle, huh? This is the type of play you want to be involved in. It is a little bit of a slower stock due to just how thick it is. Now, the key on this is like you got the 200-day moving average right on top. So you probably need it to like rest a day or two and then remount before it speeds up because like it's coming right into resistance. Does that make sense? Good. Yes, there's a couple bottoming stocks that I think are, going to be in play. Well, you is one of them. You is one of them. I think, Twilio be one. Twilio could be one. This S could be one. There's a handful of these that are looking very, very zesty. But yeah, I like this one. Probably a little bit more of a swing setup if it kind of pulls back here and holds. You know, you take a gander at this for a little bit of a swing. You probably take some calls, go like a month out or something like that, and I think you'll be in for a good little hoot nanny. Heck yeah. Uh, Anybody else? And guys, I'll be on the Coop tonight too with Levi. We'll be going over options trading, some futures, and all the other fun stuff. Certainly, baby. What's up? Good.